Hello. Thank you. Thank you. Honored to be here. Imagine you work at a local airport here in Baltimore. One night and the electricity goes out on the airfield. This actually happened to my father in the late 1940s. He worked for the National Guard here in Baltimore, and he was watching as planes were coming and landing, and all of a sudden, all of the lights on the airfield went out, gone. They did their best to figure out what we could possibly do to get them back on. They could find no response, couldn't figure out how to get the lights back on. So they did what the only thing they could do is they radioed to all the pilots that were coming in and said, you got to divert. You got to go somewhere else. We can't get you in. We have no lights. One pilot actually called back on the radio and said, I'm sorry. I have no fuel. I have to land at your airport. Even if it's in the absolute dark, I have to land. And so my father's team thought for a minute, what are we going to do? This guy sounds young. He must be nervous. Holy cow. So all of a sudden, they came up with an idea. Let's get all the Jeeps from the base and line them up on the airfield. Let's line them up on the runway so that their lights are on. Their lights are on, and they can kind of illuminate the runway. And what we'll do is we'll angle the Jeeps so that the lights are not in the pilot's face, in his eyes when he lands. So we'll angle the Jeeps on each side of the runway. And then we'll get a sheet from the local barracks and we'll hang it up at the end of the runway. And we'll get 2 Jeeps and we'll line them up with the lights on to face the big sheet so he can see where the end of the runway is. So it had gotten dark, really dark, and sure enough, all of the airmen were waiting for this one pilot to come in. He slowly descends and he lands perfectly between the 2 rows of Jeeps, beautifully. And he jumped out of the airplane, small little Cessna, something very small, and he shook the hand of every man that illuminated his landing that night. And my father tells that story, and it really reminds me of, you're going to have adversity in the workplace. It's going to happen whether you want to or not. Where everybody else would have curled up and said, this guy is just a fool, he should not land here. They found a way. They found a way to get him in safely. My father said, Jennifer, I was shocked how young this little boy was that had landed that plane. It was amazing. He was young. He had to be scared out of his mind. But the first thing he said to me was, oh my gosh, Jim, when I landed the plane and I came around the corner, I thought this is better lit than some of the planes, some of the airports where I normally land that are fully functional. And honestly, I thought, that's what I want to do. I want to be somebody who is able to land people when nobody else can. And so I think about challenges and adversity. And I think, what are some of the trends that are going on right now in business? And what I found is that in 2024, there are 2 major trends in business. And I want us to be aware of this. One is that COVID mentality. People feel like they can't connect like they used to. I don't know if you remember a couple years ago, there was this commercial about a business owner. And he shows up to his sales staff and says, I got some bad news. We just got fired by our largest client. Our largest client. And the team said, well, what did they say? And the owner says, because he felt unconnected to us. Like we didn't care about him. But that's not true. And then he proceeded to hand out tickets, airline tickets, to every single salesperson on his team. And he said, I want all of our clients to know we care about them. We connect. And sure enough, they said, well, where are you going? He said, I'm going to go talk to that client who just fired us. In business in 2024, we do not have to always be in person. That's just the trend. We are hybrid. We are virtual. It works. It's fantastic. But we have to find ways to be hybrid and virtual and how we can make relationships happen as a result. That's what we're going to talk about today. And secondly, strategy versus planning. How many of us have already planned for 2025, done our goals for 2025, right? Thank you, Lindsay. Okay, everybody's planning. But I want to tell you tonight, the trend now is not just to plan, but to consider our strategy. And I'm going to show you how they're different. Okay. So when we think about connecting, ways to really connect in business, what we have found is that people are saying, I'm tired of small talk. I'm tired of just connecting for the sake of connecting. Believe it or not, people want deeper connections, even in a networking event. And I think that's important because really what they're asking for is a relationship. How many of you are friends with some of your clients? Love it. That's why you have them as clients. No one's going to fire a friend. We want to be in relationships. And in business, it's not about what do you do. That's small talk. Here's a new trend. We're going for what we call deep talk. How do we find ways to talk to people a little bit deeper than we're currently doing it? Even in a virtual environment, even in a digital environment, there are ways to connect without having to be in person. And let me give you some strategies. Instead of saying, what do? What if we said, how do you deliver value to others through your work? I got to think about that for a second. What if I said, what concerns do you help others solve? Karen and the team just told me some great ones that they help others solve. Excellent, excellent point. What do you enjoy least and why? I actually got here a little early and played this with my back table. And Ryan said to me, he kind of caught on that I was asking some cool questions. He said, okay, Jennifer, what's the coolest place you've ever been? I thought, okay, you get it. And it made me think. I had to think about that. I felt connected. Okay, let's talk about where we've been. Ariana's been all over the world. I'm learning about these people. I feel more connected. Think about ways you can swap the typical questions to maintain those relationships, to connect with people because we're asking for it. You showed up at this event tonight. You could be anywhere else, but you wanted to be here in person. You want to connect. Fantastic, you're halfway there. What about instead of what is your current role? What roles and positions have led you to where you are today? Which ones were critical in your journey? Someone asks you one of these at a networking event, you're going to remember that person. Sometimes what I do is I pick my favorite question and put it on the back of my business card. And then I hand them the card and say, here's the question I asked you. This way you'll remember me. And put it on your digital card too. It's a wonderful way to connect. 2024 says we're craving connection. Help me connect. This is one way to do it. Instead of where are you from, what places have you traveled during your education or career? Which ones have shaped your trajectory? Which ones? Think about that. What are you going to answer? I got to think for a second. Give me a second. Now I'm going to remember you. Now, people say, Jen, it's too hard to jump into a question like that. I'm just not going to ask somebody a tough question. That's too hard. Well, start with numbers. Instead of starting with yes or no questions, start with questions that they can answer with a number. How long have you been in your business? How long have you been in your business? 6.5 years. How many employees do you have? 10. Okay, good. It gets us thinking outside of the yes, no, outside of our elevator pitch. It's a great way to start. Now I've got them answering questions, at least with numbers. Now I can get to, what would you tell your 16-year-old self, knowing what you know today? I got some great advice at the back table earlier today. I'm telling you, it works. And if you really want to gain some authenticity to what it is you're asking, throw some other ones out there. When have you failed? What did you learn? I promise you, looking to connect with people, the best way to do that is to listen. And the best way to listen is to ask some really strong questions. Pick ones that you love. What's top of mind for you right now? Is there any support that you need? What keeps you up at night? How can I help? Way better questions than what do you do for a living? And just waiting for them to get out their pitch so that you can jump right back in. You with me? Yeah. We're with you. Okay. All right. What about in a hybrid world? Jennifer, okay, I can't do this when I'm virtual, can I? Yes, you can. But remember one thing. We gain clients because they trust us, right? I mean, who's going to invest money with you if they don't trust you? If I trust you, boom, you're my client. I love it. And so there are 3 C's of trust. I had to do a whole 3-day class on trust, but this one, I throw this up there for you. Are you confident with your job? How do you display that in that interaction? Do you have concern for others? Are you listening when they're talking? Are you actively listening? And do you keep your commitments? When you can do all 3, I promise, when you hit all 3, people will say, okay, I trust them. That's someone I want to work with, especially if it's something that takes time for people to develop an understanding of. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how do I do this, not just through my words. How do I connect with people? Maybe through a little bit of effective body language. Who here thinks body language is important? I love you guys. Thank you. It is. It is. And let me show you how. People are going to judge you. Unfortunately, I wish we wouldn't, but we do from our first impression. Bummer, but we do. And I call it, we're going to nail that first impression. It's going to be nonverbal. It's not going to be from anything you say. It's going to be accurate. Believe it or not, studies have showed that first impressions are 94% accurate. Bummer. And it's going to be immediate and it's going to be lasting. It's going to be hard to change. So let's stack the deck. If we're going to meet somebody new for the first time, let's figure out how to do that effectively. First thing we're going to do is we're going to smile. Obviously, right? But anybody here watch Shark Tank? Did you know that if you walk into the Shark Tank already smiling, you are 67% more likely to get someone to invest in your company? Whereas if you wait till you get on the Shark Tank carpet and then smile, your chances are a lot less. So before you walk in that door, why not increase your odds? Give yourself a smile. A pop of color, believe it or not, red is a great color to show that we are confident and that we are strong. If you want to show confidence and strengths, studies have shown that red will take you there. I don't know why. I don't understand it myself, but studies are powerful on this over and over. Eye contact. It's huge. I promise you. You make eye contact and people will listen. They actually did an experiment where they had a robot talk to somebody, make eye contact with them. And if I make eye contact with you, Dimitri, you would hear me and you would respond to my question. But you might not because I'm not looking at you. If you look at someone, they're going to speak to you. They're more likely to talk. What do we want our clients to do? Talk to us. So let's make eye contact, not to be afraid. And if it's hard for you to make eye contact, then look between their eyes in the middle. That's true. You can do that too. But try hard to meet people as if they're your future friends. My mom was a realtor for 40 years, and I can't tell you how many of those families that she sold houses to stayed with us while they were waiting for their house to be ready. So many of them just ended up hanging out with the Girardis for 2 weeks until their house was ready. She made friends, not just clients. There's something called the pride pose. And it simply means we're going to stand tall. We're going to throw our shoulders back just a little. And we're going to show our neck. Why are we showing our neck? Why is that important?
Vulnerability.
Thank you. Who said vulnerability? Thank you. Exactly. Our neck is one of our most vulnerable parts of our body. And so by showing our neck and standing tall, it means I'm open to you. I'm here. I have no weapons. I'm vulnerable. I'm here. Same with the virtual wave. When we wave our hands on camera, virtual wave shows I have no weapons. I am friendly. I am here. Throw a virtual wave and watch what happens. People do what? They wave back. Another way to connect, because that's what 2024 is telling us. People are craving. Hand gestures. Should we use them or not use them? Let's use them. I'm Italian. I can't help it. Let's use them. A study of a TED Talk recently showed us that a TED Talk with 272 hand gestures got pretty popular, but then one with 465, people clicked on it more. I'm sure there was more to this than TED Talk. But the point being, don't be afraid to talk with your hands. People say, Jen, I don't know what to do with my hands. I put them in my pocket. I fold my arms. You got to help me here. Let me show you some ideas. One, you got to keep those hands inside the box. If we're really out here, it's a little unprofessional. It might just happen. You might want to do that. Go for it. But for the most part, you want to keep those gestures in the box by your hips. But also, don't forget that active listening capability, that smile and nod, that triple nod. All right? And when you tip your head, it means I'm listening. I want to hear you better. This is a great way to connect, virtually or in person. Oprah does a great job of this when she interviews people. They tell her everything. Like, why are they telling her everything? Because she's smiling and nodding. Love it. This is called a steeple. Our hands, can everybody do a steeple for me? Hands folded, right? Believe it or not, that shows that I'm confident and calm. You want a client or the people that you work with to know you're comfortable and calm. Beautiful. Arthur's got a good one. It shows comfort and calmness. It's beautiful. And there's even something said for the amount of space between your thumb and your fingers. Then there's the low steeple. That means I'm here. I don't want to be quite as confident. I'm listening. I'm open to ideas. That lower steeple, also valuable as well when trying to connect. It lets people know I care. I want to listen more. Oh, here's one called the handgun steeple. Does anyone ever use the handgun steeple? Yes, that's a great job. Show us again. Yes. Does anyone ever see anyone using the handgun steeple? If you see someone, thank you. If you see someone using the handgun steeple, you know to continue talking because they're not happy. Actually, it conveys, I want to shoot your ideas down. You're going too slow. Whatever it is, they're just not happy. So if you see this and you want to connect, make sure you keep talking. Make sure you add to the discussion. Ask them, hey, any concerns you got for me? You want to fill me in on what you're thinking? Whatever it is, it's another way to help you connect with your business people, with your owners. Let's avoid the handgun steeple. One, looking for it in others, but two, we want to make sure we do not use the handgun steeple. So what do I use, Jen? You want to use what we call the basketball steeple, as if you're holding a basketball right here. Just keep it in, talk. It actually makes people feel that you're friendly and it's calming and that you're listening. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm telling you, I am here to tell you it works. I do this for a living. It works. You want to connect in 2025? Practice just one of these methods. I promise you, it will change your business. Okay, so from in-person to virtual. How many people here have a virtual presence? Okay, good. LinkedIn profile or some sort of website, right? Of course. Thank you. Of course. Let's take a little test. Will you guys keep a little test with me? Keep score of your own answers? Yes. Thank you. All right, let's talk about our digital presence, our digital body language. Let's see how we rate right now. Here's the first question. How long does it take to make a digital first impression? That means if someone clicks on your website, someone sees you on a Zoom call, how long do you think it takes for someone to look at your website and say, I made an impression? Any thoughts?
5 seconds.
5 seconds. Okay, any other? A?
D.
A is correct. A is correct. 50 milliseconds. Okay, give me a second, right? I interviewed a young man recently, and I got on the call a little early, and he was actually on there waiting. I thought, oh great, he's already on the call. And sure enough, I get on real quick, and I have my smile ready, and he is sitting in his chair with his head back. He was waiting for me. He was on early, but I thought, I know you're good. You made it to the interview, but man, could you just make it for a minute and smile from that first instance? Second question. In a survey of 200 HR professionals and managers, blank confessed to rejecting a candidate based solely on a poor LinkedIn profile picture. Solely. Can you say that again? Can you believe that? It's crazy. Do we want to connect with people? Do we want them to trust us? Then let's pay attention to some of these factors that make us a little stronger in business. D, right? Wearing blank in your profile photo will drastically decrease your likability rating.
C.
Hey.
All the
Okay, it depends, right? Because I mean, if you're a baker, you might want to have an apron on. If you're on the beach, you might want to have a tank top on. But ultimately, sunglasses show that you're hiding something, right? Who's got them all right so far? Okay, okay, good, Roman, back there. Okay, good. Okay, you're learning some. Awesome. All right, extroverts tend to post more blank photos. Dog, cat, outdoor, or colorful.
Oh.
Well, you guys are hot at this table right here. Colorful. Probably all of those, but colorful. So here's the thing. What do you want to convey in your photos? Do you want to convey that warmth? That would be more of the reds to the greens? Or do you want to convey maybe more professionalism? That might be with the purples to the darker greens. Think about what you want to convey. There is no right or wrong answer, but think about what you want to convey in your website, in your profile. Again, the goal here is to connect. Here's a good one. Featuring the left side versus the right side of your face. Which one is preferred in business?
Neither. Look at them all wrong.
Roman, have you got them all right so far?
Except for the last one.
Except for the last one.
I'm leaning A on this one.
You're leaning A? Okay, research shows when we look to the right is actually our right brain, which means we're creative, visual. It means that when we're caring, we're thinking. So if we want to convey that we're caring and thinking, we want the left side of our face to show, as if we're looking right. If we want to convey more professionalism, more confidence, we're going to look to the left. That's our logic brain. We're going to look to the left, which means our right side of our face is showing. Just something to think about, but the goal here again is, what do you want to convey in order to connect in 2025? So we talk about body language with our photos. What are we showing the world? Obviously, we don't realize it, but our body language is showing the world a lot. Jen, you're showing me all this. I can't keep track of it all. Just worry about, how does it make you feel? How does that body language make you feel? That's how you'll know what you're getting at. I can show you a million things here, but I only have a few minutes. So bottom line here is, there's something in our face called micro expressions. Those are the involuntary facial expressions that we make without even trying. It's just natural. All over the world, we all make the same ones. There's 7 major micro expressions. But here's the goal. When we're talking to someone in person or virtually, if we have a photo that we have online, the goal is make sure there is no asymmetry in our face. Why? Looks like AI. It looks like AI. Very good. What else? Why? It actually looks like we're disheartened, unhappy, not confident, distressed, or a sign of disgust. So let's have that smile really be what we call a true smile. What do you notice about the left column versus the right column? The left column is happy. It's what we call smile and nod. You want me to work late tonight? Okay, thank you, boss. I'll work late tonight. The right column is, I get overtime? Okay, all right, I'll stay. The cheeks go up, the eyes scrunch. This is what we're looking for in our clients, in our teammates, and our customers. We're looking for the true smile. Keep working with them until you see this. Now they're connected with you. Now they want to work with you longer. Again, raise those cheekbones. I know you probably know this. There's something out there called Photo Feeler. It's free. You can post your photo on there, and they will give you statistics on how they think your photo is rated for likability, influential, and you can rate others. Kind of fun just to see what your photo looks like to others. The cool thing is, what do you notice about Vanessa on the left versus Vanessa on the right? Shoulders. Which one do you trust more? Right. The crazy thing is, they say that the more space we take up in a photo, again, that stand-up pride pose, the more confident we show. The cool thing is, in 2016, they analyzed speed dating photos. What they found were people who took up more space in speed dating photos were 76% 6% more likely to be chosen for future dates. Again, it's likability, it's connecting. Are we going to connect? We're going to connect. Okay, number 6, increasing the size of your pupils will increase your perceived this: trustworthiness, attractiveness, competence, or success. Anybody? Oh, I like that, I think. Roman, what do you got back there?
Confident, yes.
I've been wrong this one.
Yeah. Let's go with,
Okay. Woo. Trustworthiness, but it's A and B. It's A and B. But here's the thing. Again, the goal is to connect. People say to me, Jen, how do I get my pupils to dilate? Simple. Close your eyes before you take a picture. It allows people to think that you're more trustworthy. Here's a good one. Preferred virtual backgrounds. Preferred. Plants, art, a bookshelf, window or natural light, or a blank wall. What is the preferred background of a virtual call or a presentation that people would like to see?
bookshelf. A bookshelf.
Okay. The table in the back says bookshelf. Okay, now you're thinking just women, right? No. Here's the rationale behind that. I think it's because they think maybe you can keep something alive. I don't know. But bookshelves is second. Here's the rationale on bookshelves. People with bookshelf background were rated most professional, although least approachable. So do you want to be approachable or do you want to be professional? The choice is yours. But again, the goal is to connect. Here's the cue here. Push your camera back so I'm not looking at just your face. Push the camera back so I can see some hand gestures, so I can see your whole face. I can see if you're nodding. It gives me an opportunity to feel more connected to you. And of course, that open palm wave is fantastic. And the head nodding on a virtual call makes people feel connected, which is what we're dying to do in 2025. Improve your performance by improving your attitude. Another great way to connect is to let people know I care, I'm happy, I'm interested. I'm sure you've seen the manager effectiveness formula. The thing I want to point out here is that mindset is a multiplier. How you feel about your business, your client, is not just added to everything else. It's a multiplier. And it actually means I can't do great business unless I have a great mindset. I care, I'm concerned, I want to move forward. I spoke with Kyocera recently, and they shared with me their company's mindset formula. And again, they have all multipliers: attitude times effort and ability. I don't think we realize how big and important our mindset is in business. I remember someone said to me once, Jennifer, a bird on a branch does not worry about the branch beneath her breaking. Her trust is not in the branch, but in her wings. When adversity happens, that branch might break. But I have the wings to stay above, to stay afloat. If I have the right mindset and I have my clients connecting with me, I can do it. I can do it. My trust is in my wings. Who here knows who Nobel is?
Peace Prize.
Who said Peace Prize? Okay, yeah, Ed?
Guy that invented dynamite.
Pass this man a book back there. Can you pass that back to Ed for me? Absolutely. We think of Alfred Nobel as the inventor of the Nobel Prize, which he is. But the crazy thing is, Nobel actually, believe it or not, invented dynamite. Thank you, Ed. He was a chemist. So wild. And actually, he invented chemistry. He invented the dynamite so that it was for construction. He used it in the foundation of construction projects so he could break up the rock that was previously there, and they could put in the proper footings and the proper base that needs to go into the construction project. Nobel lived in the 1800s, and he woke up one day, just by a chance, someone had reported he had died. And he read in the newspaper his own obituary. And it titled, "The Doctor of Destruction is Dead." That man said, that is not who I am. I invented dynamite for construction purposes. I want to build beautiful things. He was so upset by this. He said, that will not be my legacy. I am not a doctor of destruction. I am a doctor of peace. So he spent his life focused on the Nobel Prize for Peace. There's one for chemistry, one for literature, one for science, one for physics, because he believed, and we know it because of the one for peace. That's the one he promoted. He wanted everyone to know, I am not the doctor of destruction. Very few people know that he even invented dynamite, because this is his legacy. So I ask you, what is your legacy going to be? What are you going to pass on to your clients, to the people that work with you? Are you going to let them know you care? I'm connecting with you. Number 2, really important factor for adversity in business, strategy versus planning. All day long, we will be planning for the next year, for everything. Play a quick game with me. I'm going to zoom out on a picture and you tell me what it is. Anybody know what that is?
Cloud.
Cloud. I'm going to zoom out. What is it now?
Cloud.
Still cloud. What is it now? Ball. Let's do another one. You guys are good back there. Candy. Donuts. Hey, what's this one?
Pizza.
Octopus.
Corn. I love those guesses. I'm going to zoom out. Hey, basketball, right? It's a basketball. Whoa. What happened, Julia?
Hit the wrong button.
I hit the wrong button. Okay, so why do we zoom out? Why do we have to look at things in a bigger picture? Could I see what the picture was when I was zoomed in close? No. Perspective, right? We got to get a bigger perspective. And the crazy thing about that, Julia, thank you. The crazy thing about that, and I'm going to skip ahead here, is how do we stand out? The best way to do that is to look at our strategy. Anybody heard of Southwest Airline? Southwest Airline, they knew the difference between planning and strategy. One year, they were looking at their capabilities, and they realized we want to be different than all the other airlines. We want to be not just the best, but the only. How can we be the only? And so they looked at themselves kind of like Greyhound bus. We want to get people there faster. We want to keep the same 737s. We don't want a whole bunch of planes. We want to make sure we get to our destination shot to shot. We don't want any hubs. They made it as simple as possible so they could make it as inexpensive as possible. As a result, that strategy to be the best in the business, to be the only type of airlines in that business, to do exactly that, they have over 67% of the business of flyers because they have a strategy, not just a plan, but they think what's needed. Why fit in when we were born to stand out? Let's do something different. Let's shake it up a little. I was going to play a game here, but I'm running low on time, I know. All right, so I have a friend that works she does water coolers for people who use a lot of the water jugs. She does in the wall water coolers. And when COVID hit, her business was really spotty because people weren't buying in wall water units anymore. They weren't in the office. And so she had to make a strategy. What do? I still want clients. What's the big concern right now? It's air quality. So she found the best air quality air purifiers that could actually kill the COVID virus. That's what she sold during COVID, so people could come back to work. What is your strategy for your business to be on fire? Not just the best, but the only. What strategy do you need to stand out? So when you're thinking about what you need to do, I want you to think about that runway. And when I was younger, my dad used to say, Jennifer, I know this adversity happened to you just now, but I got a quick question for you. Are you a cow or are you a buffalo? Dad, I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. He said, here's the difference. The cow sees the storm coming, and the cow runs away, continually, just runs and runs and runs. And then he's exhausted, and he can't run any further, and he collapses. And the storm finally catches up to him, and he has to sit out the whole storm and sit through the whole thing. But the buffalo sees the storm coming, and he runs into the storm. Why? Because he knows if he runs into the storm, he'll come out on the other side, where the grass is growing and rainbow's out and the flowers are growing, he knows that he goes through it quickly, he'll get out faster and he won't have to sit through it. So I challenge you tonight, when you think about business, when you think about how you're going to stand out, are you going to run into those adverse situations ready, know that you were born to do this? Are you going to be a buffalo or are you going to be a cow? Buffalo, thank you. And then next time you think about adversity, I want you to think about whose light can you illuminate? Whose way can you find a path forward? Because you're going to run head on into it. Adversity is going to happen, but you guys are ready. You showed up tonight because you care. I am Jennifer McCloskey with Girardi Associates, and I'm honored to be here.